this is Donald J. Trump, the 45th and 47th President of the United States. Back in 2018, President Trump struck a deal with Boeing for two VC-25Bs, i.e. heavily modified 747-8s, to be used as the new Air Force One planes. Later, the Pentagon revealed the new color scheme, which, quite frankly, has needed an update for a very long time. In fact, a YouGov poll conducted for Statista in June 2019 found that 51% preferred the new design.
Old and busted, new hotness.
3 years later, after Joe Biden took office, then White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was asked about it.
Will he keep Donald Trump's Air Force One color scheme change?
This is such a good question.
Actually, it's a really stupid question. Instead of talking about Trump's preferred Air Force One design choice, a better question would have been, will the two Air Force One planes be delayed? Will they be ready by the end of 2024? Because of the global pandemic or supply chain issues?
I wanted to start with just some housekeeping from questions you had earlier in the week that you said you might circle back on.
Okay.
So I was wondering if...
The plane?
Sure, we can start there.
I was... Okay. On the plane, we are certainly aware of the White House military unit's proposal that has been submitted to them about reconsidering the color scheme of Air Force One. I can confirm for you here, the president has not spent a moment thinking about the color scheme of Air Force One or anything in the House or any article of anything.
And as we all know, President Joe Biden didn't spend a lot of time thinking about anything. Anyway, as I alluded to earlier, the end of 2024 came and went without the delivery of the two VC-25Bs. On May 1st, 2025, the Wall Street Journal had reported that the US government commissioned L3 Harris Technologies, an American tech company and defense contractor, to overhaul a late-model Boeing 747 formerly used by the Qatari government. But then, 10 days later, ABC News reported that the royal family of Qatar was offering that 747-8 to the United States, quote, as a gift for Trump and used as an Air Force One.
As ABC News first reported, Trump wants a luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet as a gift to the administration from the royal family of Qatar, estimated to be worth some $400 million.
Well, I think what happens with the plane is that, we're very disappointed that it's taking Boeing so long to build a new Air Force One. We have an Air Force One that's 40 years old. The money we spend, the maintenance we spend on those planes to keep them tippy-top is astronomical. You wouldn't even believe it.
And as the Wall Street Journal points out, the U.S. Air Force has long wanted a third jet to serve as a backup when one of the current pair is undergoing maintenance.
If we can get a 747 as a contribution to our Defense Department to use during a couple of years while they're building the other ones, I think that was a very nice gesture. Now, I could be a stupid person and say, oh, no, we don't want a free plane. We give free things out. We'll take one, too. And it helps us out.
All perfectly reasonable. But as you'd expect, Democrats in the media got hung up on the word gift and went absolutely apeshit.
One, constitutionally, I think our forefathers made clear that presidents ought not to get a gift from a foreign country through the Emoluments Clause.
Because the Foreign Emoluments Clause says that no president, no member of Congress can take a present, an emolument, an office or title of any kind whatever from a king, a foreign state, or a prince without first coming to Congress.
This is an ethical concern, possibly violating the Emoluments Clause.
I think there is a serious Emoluments Clause argument here.
A potential violation of the Emoluments Clause.
The airplane, which is maybe the most extraordinary single obvious constitutional violation in presidential history.
Things like the Emoluments Clause are being brazenly ignored.
I mean, this is almost a cartoon example with the $400 million flying grift or they're calling it bribery force one.
What I think that does is says overwhelmingly to his critics that, hey, I'm willing to violate the Constitution's emolument clause.
However, the emoluments clause does not apply in this case because the plane is not a gift to Trump. It is a transaction between governments.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who view that luxury jet as a personal gift to you? Why not leave it behind?
You're ABC fake news, right?
Why not?
Only ABC, well, a few of you would.
And ABC News is fake news, 100%. Check out this claim from the article. The plane will then be transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation no later than January 1st, 2029. And any cost relating to its transfer will be paid for by the United States Air Force. So the US government is going to spend time and resources to convert a plane into Air Force One, use it for like a year, if that, and then immediately decommission it. You know, before President Trump leaves office. Makes sense to me. What's your problem?
Let me tell you, you should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us, I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much.
So Trump has stated numerous times that the plane is not going to be used for his personal transportation after he leaves office. What he would like is that it eventually go to the Trump Presidential Library and similarly be displayed like the Air Force One at the Reagan Library.
Do you plan to use the plane after you leave office?
No, I don't. No, it would go directly to the library after I leave office. I wouldn't be using it. No.
This plane's not for me. This goes to the United States Air Force for whoever is president. Mm-hmm. And at some point, it'll be like Ronald Reagan. It'll be decommissioned. You know, it's 11 years old.
So it stays until it's decommissioned?
Yeah, it'll be decommissioned because they won't want it. Plus, they'll have the other two planes by that time, and there'll be brand new planes, etc.
So Trump is talking about the plane eventually being decommissioned and possibly donated to the Trump Presidential Library years down the road. But to no one's surprise, the Trump haters lied all about it.
A luxury $400 million plane for him to use as Air Force One and then keep.
Qatar giving Donald Trump an airplane that he then gets to take home with him at the end of his term.
Trump wants this plane to fly around on after he's no longer president. So I have
you have no doubt in your mind. You have no doubt in your mind that, I mean, he talked about it going to the library. You have no doubt it's not going to be mothballed in the library for visitors. He would fly around on this.
Of course not. Look, if he wants an Air Force One for his library, there is one at the Ronald Reagan Library. When the current Air Force Ones are decommissioned, he can have one of them.
He's so infuriating. You do not hate John Bolton enough.
And as you know, after his term would be over, he would take that jet with him to his presidential library.
There's no guarantee that it's going to go to the presidential library. What was said was when the plane is retired, it could possibly end up in the President Trump's presidential library. That's what was said.
He's told his aides he really wants this. He doesn't care about the criticism because he wants the plane after he leaves office. They say for the library, we'll see about that.
We'll see about that. Let me get this straight. The same government that was angry that Trump was keeping boxes of presidential papers in his bathroom are going to just let him take a multi-billion-dollar plane with him. Yeah, give me a break.
Why is it appropriate for the president to accept a $400 million jet from Qatar?
Well, it's not the president accepted, it'd be the United States government.
But then, minutes later, during Welker's interview with Senator Chris Murphy,
by the way, the plane is not a gift to the American people, as the secretary said. It is going directly to Donald Trump. That library will take a decade to build. And so once he leaves the White House, until the library is built, he gets to use that plane to fly around all of his billionaire friends.
Chris Murphy is one of the biggest scumbags in Congress. So did Kristen Welker push back against Murphy's BS? Well, you already know the answer.
That is the definition of corruption.
All right, well, we'll watch how it all unfolds. I know Democrats are discussing various ways to potentially try to block it. Senator Murphy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
So much for the media rebuilding credibility with the American people. So when it comes to this whole scandal, we can call it Planegate, I guess. One of the biggest arguments is that if you convert the plane from a 747-8 into a VC-25B, it's gonna cost money.
The president said this is a free plane. We know that that simply is not true because it has to be stripped down basically and rewired, and it was going to cost hundreds and hundreds of million dollars, perhaps even much
like $400 million at least, right?
Exactly.
But that would cost American taxpayers hundreds of millions, possibly even $1 billion.
Converting, retrofitting, and clearing the gifted Qatari jet, which aviation experts tell NBC News would likely cost taxpayers more than $1 billion.
Upwards of $1 billion to be able to retrofit it. Well, some of the experts we said, look, that's the low end.
It's a $400 million plane from Qatar that experts say could cost American taxpayers $1 billion.
There are estimates that suggest it would cost American taxpayers about $1 billion with a B dollars to actually, because you have to take it apart, put in all the security measures, and put it back together.
Yes, because that's how much it costs to convert these planes. 2 planes that Trump ordered from Boeing cost $3.9 billion. So considering that we're getting a $400 million jet for free, we're basically saving $1 billion.
I mean, just the retrofitting alone, from what I understand, not only could it take a long time and cost a lot of money, but it's incredibly, I mean, it is a huge task to make this safe for the president to fly in this plane, even from an intelligence standpoint.
Air Force One has a number of defenses. Some of them are classified, but the ones that we know about include being able to repel an electromagnetic pulse, being able to stop a potential incoming like a missile with things like flares. All of that would need to be added to this.
Yes, and what they're conveniently leaving out is that the 2 planes under contract from Boeing were originally built for a different customer. The planes already exist, and they require the same exact modifications.
I think it contradicts what the president wants in terms of his whole economic policy, which is to restore manufacturing in the United States and to have Americans buy American.
But Leon Panetta doesn't know what he's talking about because A, we're not buying the plane, and B, the plane was manufactured at Boeing's factory in Everett, Washington. Great job, genius.
I think there's a lot of concerns about when you buy a plane from a country like Qatar. You have to worry about just exactly how many listening devices are part of that plane, what other intelligence are they trying to gather.
If, in fact, the U.S. were to accept, and that would be the Air Force, the Department of Defense, who would accept this aircraft, it would require, experts told us, upwards of 2 years of work. And what that would involve is literally taking the aircraft apart. People explaining to us that literally searching bolts.
Listening devices in the bolts of the plane's fuselage. Got it.
Literally searching bolts, bolt by bolt, to make sure that there are no listening devices, no kind of surveillance, sophisticated, tiny surveillance equipment that could be embedded somewhere in that aircraft that would compromise the highly secure, classified discussions that the President of the United States needs to be able to have on an Air Force One.
So even if Qatar was stupid enough to place listening devices, the people making the plane Air Force One ready are going to make sure that there are no such devices. Wait, what's the issue exactly?
Well, wouldn't matter if it was from Qatar. If it was from Great Britain, you'd have to go through the same security precautions. Now, Trump can waive all of them, but it would be a huge mistake.
So John Bolton, completely talking out of his ass, is claiming that President Trump, a man who has survived 2 assassination attempts, might just say, why does a plane need so many fancy schmancy security measures? Everything's computer. Get rid of it.
Everything's computer.
And it is also very risky because they can say all they want that they'll harden this plane against many defenses. What's to say a bad actor sent by Iranians, for example, wouldn't do something to mess with this aircraft? I personally, if I was President Trump, I would not feel safe.
Oh my God, the fear-mongering. I wonder what the Democrats and the media's response would have been had they known last year that the Biden administration was looking to purchase the same exact plane.
Here's what's interesting to me. What the media isn't telling you, what no one's talking to you about, is this same 747 has been in negotiations for a year. The Biden administration is the one that started these conversations. It didn't start underneath the Trump administration. Why? Because we need a backup for Air Force One.
And I suspect that if Biden would have been offered the plane for free, Democrats would have been celebrating. See how much money Biden is saving us? He's respected. America's back. Anyway, that's it for now. Follow me on X at Don't Walk Run. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time, if there is next time.